Okay, we'll be doing some 223 case preparation today. It's going to involve trimming to length, as well as chamfering the neck and cleaning out the primer pockets. This is RCBS Case Prep Center. It's about $100. You can buy it online from places like Midway. It comes with these two accessories pre-installed. This is an inside the neck chamfer tool. This is an outside the neck chamfering tool. I've added this. It's a Hornady primer pocket cutter. It cuts the sidewalls of the primer pocket, and it also puts a chamfer on the entrance to the primer so that the new primers, when they go up into the pocket, will seat nicely. It'll help them get started up into there. In the back you can also do things like flash hole deburring on the 5th of the 5 driven stations, so these will all turn under motorized power. RCBS markets this as a device that'll do pretty much anything up to from the point of trimming on. So it's not marketed as doing any trimming. It just does chamfering and primer pockets and flash holes, that sort of thing. But I really wanted to trim on here. I wanted to trim to length with it as well. So I modified a tool that comes from Lee. Lee makes this is a cutter, and then you screw in a trim gauge, and that sets the depth of the cut, and it does that in a fairly clever way. This is the shell holder, and they call a lock stud. So the shell holder just screws onto there, and it captures the brass in here, and then this case length gauge goes up through the brass, goes through the flash hole, and the pin bottoms out against that case lock stud there, rather, and that sets the depth of cut so the cutter can go cut that far and no farther. I modified this tool though. I've drilled and tapped the end and put an 832 stud in there, and then you can put this in the first station of the RCBS Case Prep Center and actually do some case trimming with it, which it's a little slow, but it does work, and it's, I think, faster and better overall than doing the cutting to length someplace else and then coming over here to finish it. Okay, I'm going to need something to hold this shell holder and lock stud, so I got this screwdriver from Walmart. It's about $3, and it has a nice feature that a lot of screwdrivers don't have. It's fairly tight up in this area, so it'll hold this 1/4-inch hex shaft tightly so it won't fall out. A lot of screwdrivers will just fall right out of there. So that's what's going to hold the brass. So let's get started with this. Turn it on, and all 5 stations are rotating now. I'll take a piece of brass, put it into the shell holder, and then I'm rotating the screwdriver to torque that down, and that locks the brass in nice and tight. So then put the brass on, and then I'm going to just press down with about 4 pounds of force, and it's cutting. And you can sort of hear the motor, and right there you heard it get a little faster. What happened is the motor is finished cutting now. I go over and do inside chamfer, outside chamfer, about 2 seconds each, and then unlock it, take the brass out, and then I'm going to chamfer the edge and clean out the primer pocket. And then I always take a look down through and make sure the flash hole is open. And I also like to take a look at the brass and make sure it's in generally good condition and nice cut. Okay, let's do one more, hopefully a little faster this time. The amount of time it takes to cut to length is dependent on how much brass is being removed, but I put about 5 pounds of force down, and it takes anywhere between 5 and 10 seconds to cut to the length. And when it's finished cutting, you can hear the motor rev up a little, and you can feel a lot less drag. Chamfering, I usually put about 2 seconds on the inside and outside chamfer with about 2 pounds of force, and the depth of cut is preset for the length, and also the amount of cut for the primer pocket is preset, but the two chamfers are not. They'll cut as long as you keep pressing, so that's why it's important to time these two. The other two you can do by feel, and I again look through, make sure the flash hole's open. I usually just generally look to make sure the case looks good before it gets put in the pile to be reloaded. Okay, one more quickly.